Title: The Graveyard Dare. It was a damp, cloudy October evening in the small town of Ravenfield, and three childhood friends, Jason, Emily, and Mark, were gathered in Jason's backyard around a flickering bonfire. With Halloween just a week away, the air was full of stories, laughter, and tension. As the fire crackled, Emily threw down her cup with a smirk. "I have an idea," she said. "Let's settle once and for all who among us is the bravest." Jason leaned forward. "I'm listening." Emily's eyes gleamed. "You know the old Hollow Creek graveyard?" Jason and Mark exchanged nervous glances. Everyone in Ravenfield knew about Hollow Creek. Stories of satanic rituals, missing teens, and shifting graves had haunted the town for decades. Emily continued, "We each go in there one by one, at midnight, alone, one candle each. No phone, no flashlight. Whoever stays the longest wins." Mark scoffed. "That place is cursed, Em. You know that. My cousin swears he saw a little girl crying by the angel statue, and she vanished into the ground." Emily shrugged, "Then back out." "No way," Jason said quickly. "I'm in." Emily turned to Mark. "You." Mark sighed, then nodded. "Fine. I'm in too." The rules. Only one person can enter the graveyard per night. Enter at 12 a.m. sharp. Bring a single candle. No phones or watches. Sit on the stone bench in the center, next to the angel statue. Stay as long as possible. When you leave, write your time on a logbook kept outside the gate. The prize? Bragging rights and a $100 bill placed in an envelope on Jason's fridge. Night 1, Jason. Jason arrived at the graveyard just before midnight. The wrought iron gates loomed high above him, rusted and groaning in the wind. He clutched his candle, heart pounding. The second his phone turned 12 o'clock, he stepped inside. The air changed. It became heavier, as if the very ground was exhaling the breath of the dead. The path twisted like a maze until he reached the center of the graveyard. The angel statue stood silently, covered in moss and vines. Its eyes were hollow, staring upward, as if praying for something that would never come. He sat on the cold stone bench, lit his candle, and waited. Minutes passed. Then something shifted. From behind, he heard a scraping sound, like nails on stone. He turned quickly but saw nothing. Then a whisper. "Jason?" He stood up. "Who's there?" Silence. Then, behind the angel statue, he saw a figure, a woman in white, her face pale, hair hanging like wet ropes, eyes black and bottomless. Jason stumbled back, tripping over the bench. His candle flickered violently. The woman smiled and whispered again, "Stay with me." Jason ran. He didn't look back. The gate, once creaky and heavy, opened easily. Outside, he collapsed onto the dirt and gasped for breath. He scribbled his time in the logbook. 22 minutes. Night 2, Emily. Emily arrived fearless, candle in hand, dressed in her black hoodie. She smirked at Jason's 22-minute record. "Let's see what's really in there," she said. At midnight, she stepped inside. She noticed the cold instantly. Her breath turned to fog as she walked. The silence was sharp, no crickets, no wind, just stillness. She reached the statue and lit her candle. The light barely reached a foot away in any direction. She sat and waited. 15 minutes in, she heard a child's laughter. It echoed strangely, bouncing between the graves. "Who's there?" she called. Suddenly, her candle went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Panic rose in her throat as she fumbled for matches, but something breathed behind her. She turned slowly. In the moonlight, she saw a small girl, no older than 7, wearing a tattered dress. Her eyes were sewn shut, her lips too, and yet the laugh came again from her mouth. Emily screamed and backed away, but the girl began floating, her limbs bending unnaturally. Emily sprinted through the graveyard, the sounds of laughter turning into wails behind her. She burst through the gate and fell to her knees, sobbing. Her time, 17 minutes. Night 3, Mark. Mark was terrified, but also determined to beat Jason's time. He arrived at 11:55 p.m., heart racing. I just have to stay longer than Jason, he muttered. Just 23 minutes. At midnight, he stepped inside. The graveyard felt different, as if it was waiting for him. He walked slowly, whispering prayers under his breath. He lit his candle and sat by the statue, counting each breath. Time passed. Then something odd happened. He felt watched, not from one direction, but all. And then the ground beneath him trembled. A low growl erupted from below. Suddenly, a skeletal hand burst from the soil beside the bench, followed by another. Graves all around began to open. Pale arms, rotted bodies, eyeless skulls emerged. Dozens, silent, all turning toward him. He tried to move, but the candle flared violently, and the ground beneath him split open. Mark was falling, down into pitch black. Then, silence. The next morning, Jason and Emily waited outside the graveyard gate, holding coffees, shivering in the morning fog. Mark's not answered his phone, Jason said, concerned. He should have been out by now. They walked to the gate and found the logbook lying open. No new entry. They called out. No response. Terrified, they climbed over the fence and rushed to the center. The candle was still there, unlit, but Mark was gone. No blood. No sign of struggle, just a trail of disturbed soil leading to the bench, and a whisper in the wind. 3 went in, 2 returned. A week later, the town searched, but Mark was never found. Emily changed. She stopped talking, stopped sleeping. She kept repeating, "That little girl," she said, "we opened it." Jason became obsessed. He started researching the graveyard and found disturbing things. In the 1800s, the Hollow Creek Church was built on that land. The pastor, Father Elric, led a cult that performed dark rituals. They believed in a place called the Hollow Realm, a space between life and death. It was said that to open it, 3 souls must be offered willingly through a trial of fear. Jason sat alone, realizing the terrible truth. The dare wasn't just a game, it was a ritual. They had activated something. And Mark was the price. 2 months later, Jason visited the graveyard again. He brought 2 things, a new candle and a shovel. He dug for hours, sweat pouring down his face, ignoring the whispers that grew louder with every inch. Finally, he found it, a wooden trapdoor, old and rotted, hidden beneath the soil near the bench. He opened it. A stairwell spiraled down into darkness. With his candle lit, he descended. The walls were made of bone. The air was thick with rot. And then he saw him, Mark, but not as he remembered. Mark's eyes were pure black, skin pale, lips stitched. He smiled. "You came." Jason froze. Mark raised a hand. Behind him, hundreds of eyeless souls watched silently, chained to the walls. Jason turned to run, but the stairwell vanished behind him. Final entry. Found in Jason's room. We weren't playing a game. We were part of a ritual. The Hollow Realm is real, and it's hungry. Emily's next. I am sorry. Emily disappeared a week later. Her room was found empty. Window open. Candle burned to the bottom. No trace. Epilogue. Local authorities closed off Hollow Creek graveyard permanently. But sometimes, just after midnight, people say they hear voices behind the locked gates. Join us. It's your turn. 3 must play. And sometimes, 3 new names appear in the logbook, even though it's always blank by morning. Story end.